Welcome to Your Legacy Stories podcast. Your host, Natalie McQueen, helps people from all walks of life to create, live, and preserve their legacy for future generations to enjoy. Natalie's mission is to help you craft the legacy you deserve, encourage you to live it to the fullest, and then preserve it for future generations to enjoy. On this show, her guests share moments of purpose, gratitude, wisdom, and tradition, and of course, their legacy stories.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Natalie McQueen with Your Legacy podcast. We have three amazing guests today, and we're going to speak about the Sparkle book. It is The Power of Your Inner Sparkle, and we've got three of the authors today. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, tell us where you're located, and why you wanted to be in the book. Trish, why don't you go first? Tisha.
Okay. Hi, I am Tisha Vaculin. I currently live in Southern California. And, I don't know if originally I ever thought I would do anything in the realm of being an author, but I definitely had a story to tell. And I've known Bobby for a long time. And when she came to me with her idea, I just felt it in every part of who I was, that I needed to tell my story. And I'm so glad to be a part of it with all these amazing ladies. And thanks for having me on here today, Natalie.
Absolutely. And how about you, Allison?
I'm Allison Doss. I live in beautiful sunny South Florida. I met Bobby at an event in Vegas that Tigo, who I think perhaps is writing maybe the intro of the book, Tigo.
Yes,
She was
yes.
hosting it. I had been asked by Tigo to come and speak at the event in Vegas, and Bobby ran after me after the event and asked if I would be interested in being an author in the Sparkle Book Collab. And I told her I would be honored. So that's why I'm here today.
Very nice. What I have to say is, I've done many compilation books, and this one just stands out. Like each one of your stories is just above and beyond touching, and you're all just such incredible ladies. So it's been a wonderful experience. How about you, Kelley?
Yeah, so I'm Kelley Grimes, and I live in Carlsbad, California, also Southern California. So we kind of got the south ends of the country
Right?
in this conversation. And I've written my own book called The Art of Self-Nurturing. And I have been a part of collaborative books and have found them so inspiring to have a group of people coming together to tell their story of, usually it's like moving from pain to purpose and having their transformative experience shared. And I have another dear friend that's part of this collaboration, Katie. And when they needed one more author, she thought, oh, that would be great. And when I talked to Bobby, who had this beautiful vision in this plan and is an author in the book, I really felt immediately that her vision was a sacred part of my vision. Like I felt the weaving of that in a really powerful way. And, even though I have told many parts of my story in different ways, different parts, this is the first time that I told it from the start through to where I am today.
Nice.
So that feels really empowering and really exciting. And I love, I work with women primarily, and I love to see what's possible when women come together and support each other, support themselves and support each other and do that piece of inspiring hope in the world. And so I'm really delighted to be a part of this beautiful project with everyone.
That's awesome. And that kind of rolls into my next question. So let's stay with you, Kelley. So you've already shared your story in the book. What ripple do you hope that your chapter creates in the lives of women?
Yeah, so my book is called Radiate Your Inner Sparkle, The Sacred Art of Self-Nurturing. And I think what I want to inspire people to know is that it is possible to make nurturing choices, even if where you're at in this current moment feels overwhelming and you feel exhausted and you feel that you've been in a place of overgiving, which a lot of us as women have been in our culture have been encouraged to do, is that I often call myself a professional nurturer because I'm really good at nurturing other people. What I found is I'm even better when I start by nurturing myself, and that it ripples out from there. So I think what my hope would be is that the possibility for people to feel whole, to feel connected, to feel filled up, so that that's the energy that they give out in the world. So there's more peace, there's more compassion, there's more love in the world. That's my true aspiration in writing this chapter.
That's beautiful. So Tisha, how about the same question? Like, what ripple do you hope that your chapter creates in the lives of other women?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And I've been thinking on this one a lot today because I have a lot of different answers. But I think in the end, as do all of us that are writing our stories, we want to show that we can come out on the other side. In life, we all have our different ventures, our different darknesses that we go through. And I think with mine, you look at the roller coaster effect, but in the end, when I got to where I wanted to be, not only in the Hollywood world, but also in the big business world, my world, I'm like 106 years old in Hollywood years. So you know what I'm saying? So there's a point where, like you're like, I didn't get where I needed to go. You're too old. And I heard you're too old. Get up on your dream. You need to get a real job. All these things that were happening at the same time as I'm actually going through these roller coaster effects that, put a little darkness and a little cloud over you. So I would say what I hope is that people don't base things on the industry they're in or how old they are, what gender they are. I just want people to know that you can really push through it and persevere.
It's such an important lesson, right? And that's where I love that you guys are so open to share your vulnerability and then to bring it to a place where you're supporting other women, you're elevating other women to see that they can too. So it's beautiful. Allison, what about you? Like, what do you hope your story helps to make that ripple effect with women?
After writing my solo project, The Embossing, where I really got into the nitty gritty of the depths of the darkness that I had been through, I realized that at the end of that book, I really needed to write something that was a bit more survival guide instructions. And Bobby gave me the opportunity to write like the sparkle guide instructions. So
I love that.
My chapter is clear-cut instructions of action that you can take, that I took, to keep myself from being able daily to want to control everything around me, which relieves me of the resentment of things not going my way, and surrendering to the fact that no one needs my help or my sticky fingers in their business to go the way that I need it to go. And so the chapter that I wrote was God's Gifts in Desperation. So the ripple effect that I would love for women to take from my chapter is to know that every single thing they go through, think, and do, there's gifts on the other side of that. And get to my age, almost 50 years old, having been through all of the things as we all have, there is a pattern of proof that there are gifts in all of the darkest times. We just can't see it because it's too dark. So that's what I would like understand, feel, and acknowledge and be aware of when they're in their darkest times.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That really gives hope, because when you're in those times, it is hard to see that there's any other choice, or there is that light coming. So I can see that this book is going to be beyond a book, beyond chapters coming together. I really feel that it's going to be a movement. It's going to be a movement to help other women take that step forward. Shed that fear to move forward and to be the woman that they are meant to be. So for sure. All right. So if you could speak directly to one woman who is in the middle of her darkest time, what would you say to her right now? Tisha, do you want to start?
I will. I'll take that question. I think it kind of goes back to the question that we just had, and how you have to perceive things. Or like Allison said, if we have a clear path to get to that other side, and I think that's what Allison's chapter does, then we can, I guess knowledge is everything. And if we can help somebody else by showing them, hey, this is where I've been, this is where I came to be, and here is a direct path to get there, everything's going to be just fine. Because 2 years ago, as I was walking down my stairs to the garage, and I don't want to make this a sad space to be, but I had a bad train of thought, and I didn't know if tomorrow would even come. And God gave me a blessing in that moment. That's a whole other story I may tell one day. And that was the moment. That was the day that Bobby called me, and I
Wow.
knew I needed to tell my story. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Well, we're certainly glad that you're here and we're able to tell your story, because it will definitely help other women. Yeah. So, um, when we look at healing, was there one unexpected healing moment that you had as writing this? Kelley, let's talk about you. When you were going through your writing journey, did you have any healing yourself?
Yeah, so one of my practices has been that when I write, because I write a lot, I write columns for magazines and just write a lot in my business. I read it out loud as part of my editing process, and I do that with my daughters. Now, my daughters are a big part of my chapter because everything that I learned about self-nurturing was through my practice of parenting my daughters who had major health challenges growing up. So as I was reading my chapter to them, they said, wait a minute, Mom, wait. From the time that I had my first seizure, this is my older daughter, to the time that you got pregnant with my other daughter, your dad died, your grandmother died, and you were on bed rest with preterm labor, was only 10 months. They literally said this to me. And I said, oh my gosh. Yeah, I had no, honestly, I had been in survival for so long. That was just as like, okay, these things happen and I had to keep going. I think I'm seeing resonance on your faces too, and like, I had no idea it was so compressed. I knew I was going through hard times. Those weren't the only hard times either, by the way, but that was just, it was so helpful. It was so healing. I was able to acknowledge myself and how I had joyful resilience. I actually got to the affirmation at the end of my chapter, I am joyfully resilient, through that process of that being reflected back by my daughters, who were so much part of that. And then to hear from them how grateful they are for the support, the love, and the presence that I had, even with all of that, was deeply healing to me. And I think it was healing in our relationships, just to deepen in what is possible for any of us when we tell our story, so people know they're not alone, right? And that there is tremendous resilience in each of us, that is that shine, right? That is that sparkle,
Right.
is radiating out, and that we can grab hold of these bits of light from each other. When ours is a little dark, we can be inspired by the light in someone else. So I think
Yeah.
really,
I love how you talk about the self-nurture, and it's not going out and taking bubble baths or that type of thing. It's really um, rediscovering yourself and living that your inner power, right? Like I remember you talked about being gentle but powerful at the same time. Can you expand on that?
yeah, I think that there's a certain tenderness toward ourselves that allows us to draw upon our strength and express it out in the world. And if we can start with this self-compassion and this tenderness for ourselves, and really develop a loving relationship with ourselves, we then know when we need to set boundaries, or take a next step or reach out for help or be in community. We know these things because we're connected with ourselves versus only being external. But it requires, like, to me, it's that almost like fierce compassion, if you know that,
Right.
that it's like that tenderness, but that then can get expressed out in the world through our, powerful, radiant action.
Absolutely. Um, Allison, so when you were going through your writing journey, every chapter in the book has its own essence. What is one word that would capture the soul of your story and why?
Capture the soul of my chapter or capture the soul of my story, because the chapter and my story have different intentions and different behavior. I think for my chapter it would be action. You just made reference to it's not about taking bubble baths. For me, I had to be able to be as brave as I could, and my self introspection had to be so incredibly deep that I didn't just discover myself, I discovered all of my defective character traits that kept me in survival mode my whole life. And
Wow.
all of the traits are not who I am. Most of them are things that were given to me by the narrative of parents or friends or boyfriends or husbands. And so I had to take action, which I do every single day, to be aware of those defects of character because they are always there. But taking action and having awareness that that's what's happening in that moment, and I'm not in survival mode again. I'm not in survival mode anymore. I'm in thriving sparkle mode, and I don't need to my defective character traits, which allows me to actually be who I was born to be.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What about you? Oops. Tisha, what would you say in writing the chapter? Did you have a certain, whether it's one word or a certain healing come through?
I did actually. I think like I heard from both girls sometimes how we hold on to different things. I don't think until you write it out and then read it back to yourself, do you see what you've actually gone through and you're like, I survived this. But also, I think sometimes we live in a space like maybe a victim mode. It's an easy place to be in. And I found myself holding on to things that just don't make sense at this point in my life. And so I really had to sit back. I had conversations with different family members and friends that maybe were there for me during that time. And I was able to kind of heal from that and let go of things that I just didn't realize I was still holding on to. So what a relief.
Right?
Mhm.
It's incredible that we have these things, these underlying beliefs or these underlying um just acceptances of how it is or how we think it has to be. And really, when you learn, that's all been, put on to us by teachers, parents, society. And you can let go of a lot of that and create your own reality. And that's really powerful. Okay. So I want to turn it around a little bit. The phrase inner sparkle is so unique. So, what does it mean to you now that you've written your chapter? What does inner sparkle mean? And let's start with Tisha.
So I actually picture it in my head. From the first time that I heard it, I kind of pictured this, this little bubble of darkness and inside this little diamond of purple sparkle, and it explodes as you are releasing, like I was saying, some of the things that I was dealing with. Maybe, I don't know. There's so many things that come to my mind when I think that, but most definitely just thinking that there's the light on the outside of the darkness.
Yeah, very nice. What about you, Allison?
The inner sparkle, of course, for me is the God conscience. We all have God living within us. It's just a matter of, are we able to get rid of all the armor that we put on top of it, you know, on top of that God conscious. And once we're able to let go of the expectations, you know, let go of the resentments, all of the narrative that's been put on us, we can just get rid of all of the bullshit from the past, and the God conscious shines through. And you had mentioned, you'd asked a question earlier about like, what would you tell, you know, a woman who was in her darkest time? And like that God conscious that makes you uniquely you, who you exactly are, like everything you're going through and everything you will go through is exactly what you're supposed to go through, which at that point makes you absolutely unique in your journey to connect with someone else who has gone through that or will go through that. And that is the art of like vulnerability. And for me, like vulnerability within that God conscious is the sparkle. We give people permission to be vulnerable when we are vulnerable. And that is God. That is service to others. And we are speaking through God.
I love that. You know, many of us are, and this was me exactly in the past. You don't want to show that you have weaknesses or that everything's not perfect, right? Because you're afraid of the judgment and that people won't understand. And it's the exact opposite. When they see your vulnerability, they connect with you. They see you as a real person that is going through things that they've went through. Often it brings you into better relationships or closer friendships because they can be there for you. They can empathize with you, and they themselves see a different, authentic you that doesn't try to be just perfect. So I love that. What about you, Kelley? What does that inner sparkle mean to you?
That inner sparkle to me is love.
Mm,
It's divine spark. It's our creativity. It's our authentic truth. It's the aspects of us that are deeply interconnected with everyone else, with nature, with the divine. And it's our unique way to express ourselves in the world. And I do think, as Allison was saying, we get disconnected from it for different reasons. One is huge with the folks that I work with is around worthiness. People don't feel worthy, so they don't feel connected to their greatest power from within, which is to radiate who they are and light and love out in the world. And so once people connect with their own worthiness through all the different paths, and there's so many different
right.
paths, but when they do, we're unstoppable, because it's truth that we then can express from that most divine place within us. We can honor it. We can honor it in other people. We can celebrate it. And that's where I love the sparkle piece, because it's there no matter what, but sometimes it's very, very like, you don't see it a lot. It's just little sparkles, and other times it's radiating out in really big and fantastic ways. And so, and it takes all of it for me to honor that there's times that maybe it's not sparkling in the same way. Then I go back to my self-nurturing practices, like what do I need to do to get back in alignment with the truth of who I am? Because then I can be vulnerable and I can be authentic and I can have true belonging, right? And in connection with other people. So I love the spark. I love
I do too.
sparkle, shine. I love radiance. I love all of those because they're very aspirational and they give handholds to people to connect in with something that seems possible for them as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Allison, so what's next? Now that your voice, your story is kind of out in the world, what dreams are you going to make come true?
Dream came true for me on Thursday. Because of my drug addiction, I had lost custody of my youngest son. At the time, he was 4. He just moved in with me on Thursday. He's now 17, and it was his choice to move in with me.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
I'm devoting a lot of time and attention and love, because it's not easy to be a full-time mom for me. I've never been. I'd always been deep into my alcoholism and my addiction. So for now, I'm taking like a little step back And my son just dropped his phone. The dog is barking, but I'm so grateful.
That's perfect. And we love it. You know what? Congratulations. That's an amazing journey. And just, you should be so proud.
I will enjoy the event in July, and then I'm going to recoil a bit into the nurturing mom role and see how I do.
Awesome. I can tell you're going to do amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. Tisha, what about you? Your voice is out in the world. What's next?
Yeah, like I said, I never had that on the bucket list to tell my story. So this is really fun for me and interesting. I've been in front of camera my entire life since I was 4, and I've gone behind the scenes over the past 10 years. But more specifically, I started an entertainment company, and we are trying to find ways to put more content out is in the creation of what we did here. Even so, with the book, with children. Of course, we have all the regular movies and TV show types, but we're really trying to focus on things that can empower women as well as empower people that have been through hard times. So that's what I'm up to.
Sounds like a beautiful mission.
Thank you.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much. We will put all the book links below so you can get a copy, read the chapters, and then reach out to these ladies. They want to hear how their stories made an impact on you, and just get the reviews of, how their stories are making an impact on the world. So buy a second copy and pass it to another lady friend as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you
ladies.
so much.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Your Legacy Story Podcast. If you would like to share your legacy story with Natalie or get your legacy book started, please reach out at giftsoflegacy@gmail.com. Be sure to add My Legacy Stories in the subject line. We would love to help you share your legacy message out to the world. Natalie would like to invite you to join our private Facebook group, Create Your Legacy Life. She shares tips on book publishing, ways to create and leave your legacy, and she interviews the most amazing legacy creators, sharing their moments of purpose, gratitude, wisdom, and tradition, and of course, their legacy stories. See you next week.